philosopher Adam Schmitt once said, "Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent." Think about that for a second. The story of Irina Zarutska is a prime example of this. The beautiful Ukrainian refugee taking a train home from work, Charlotte, North Carolina, 2 weeks ago, and she picked the wrong seat. Zarutska sat right in front of a lifelong bottom feeder named DeCarlos Brown. He has been given about 20 second chances by the miserable left that controls Charlotte, North Carolina. And on August 22nd, he thanked his society for its patience by standing up and slashing Irina Zarutska's throat in front of a train full of witnesses. The moment you see right there. Many say that there's no motive for this. The surveillance audio says different. Watch DeCarlos Brown walk through a train full of people muttering as blood pours to the floor. Now, the audio translation is not confirmed at this point. We should say that, but we can hear it. Got that white girl, got that white girl. And from that, it seems pretty clear. You realize with that, and a couple other reasons, why this story has gotten almost no media coverage, except as a local story in Charlotte. Right now, big city Democrats are screaming every day about the dangers of Trump's National Guard crime crackdown and what a threat it would be, how dangerous it would be for inner city communities to have more police instead of more crime. But nobody is talking about Irina, which is ironic as the machine is usually so fixated on Ukrainian deaths. This is the one that they won't talk about. The media desperate to ignore this story. Everyone except basically CBS, a network where everybody right now is on pins and needles. Everyone else ignored this story. At CBS, we now have activists who are acting like journalists, hoping to save their jobs from Larry Ellison and a Skydance takeover that intends to return CBS to the days of Walter Cronkite. So CBS actually had to cover the story this morning because they knew if they didn't, it would cost them their jobs, although it did feel a bit forced.
Now to a senseless attack on a Ukrainian refugee in this country. We're not going to show you the moment of the stabbing, but a warning, this footage is still disturbing. Skylar Henry reports.
It's just before 10 p.m. on August 22nd, and 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr. is seated on a Charlotte light rail train.
There you have it right there. Of course, stories like this can't be covered because they highlight the absolute disaster that the left has brought into our society since George Floyd. Using Charlotte as an example now, in 2020, the city's left-wing city council began diverting 911 calls away from police. So you call 911, you might not get the cops. The governor then began reimagining public safety, promoting alternatives to arrest, de-emphasizing felony crimes, prioritizing restorative justice, and, of course, eliminating cash bail. Equity and inclusion consultants were hired. This is the story of Charlotte, like so many other big cities with large urban populations and a lot of pandering white politicians. Charlotte's incoming police chief actually said this on camera in 2020.
Do you believe in systemic racism?
You know, I think it's evident that what we've seen. And, you know, our entire agency, the law enforcement in general, is based on racism.
Law enforcement is based on racism, and yet you're a police chief. Interesting decision as a line of work. That's the chief of police in Charlotte right now, Johnny Jennings. Part of a cadre of fools sending a loud message to criminals all over this country, go wild, and for years they have. The mind-numbing reaction to the death of a career criminal who overdosed on the ground with a cop's knee on his upper back. How many innocent people have these capitulators sentenced to die in the last 5 years in the name of St. Floyd so that they could virtue signal? How many people have had to die so Nancy Pelosi and her crew could virtue signal how wonderful they are and how much they care? How many did they kill? How many more need to die before they'll relent? Trump talked about all this earlier today.
When you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible actions. And the actions that we take are nothing. This cashless bail started a wave in our country where a killer kills somebody and is out on the street by the afternoon. in many cases going out and killing again, cashless bail. And you try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. You try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't want to hear it. Like talking to a wall. They'll refuse to acknowledge the failings of their ideology. They always will. And when it starts to get really bad, they'll just start cooking the books like they just did in Washington, D.C. They'll tell you it's safer when your eyes know it's not. And that's really when you're in trouble, right? When the government just lies to your face, they don't even care what you think. It gets to that point. Complain and they'll call you a conspiracy theorist. They'll call you a racist. Look at all of these mugshots. This is ridiculous. Look at that image on the screen. Culminated 2 weeks ago with a girl being knifed in the neck for no reason whatsoever, other than she was a white girl. You begin to wonder how many arrests ago would a sophisticated society either have locked him up or just put him down like a dog? After 5, maybe? After 7? In California, they used to have 3 strike laws. 3 felonies, prison for life. It doesn't matter. We should be asking, what value does somebody with this many mugshots have in our society? And really, why are they still allowed to be here? You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.